Lance Hall here for Let's Discuss with Lance Hall. Happy to welcome Jim Gregory to the program tonight of Fetal Blood Eagle. How you doing, Jim?
Good. How you doing, Mike?
We were talking off air there for a moment. You were down in Dover, New Hampshire, in the midst of the blizzard, the bomb cyclone right now. Just surviving.
Yeah, it's not so bad.
Yeah. Debut album Indoctrinate coming out February 25th on Listenable Records. I've listened to an advanced copy. This is a fantastic album, Jim.
Thanks, man.
See, you've got it coming out on vinyl, cassette, CD. You've got some t-shirts, some bundles coming as well. Always pretty cool. Are you surprised that the cassette format has come back as much as it has?
Yeah, as a kid who grew up with them, I hate that format. But I also am well aware that I'm not exactly like the perfect guy to ask on what is cool with people and hot in the streets.
Yeah.
So if people want to listen to cassettes, then I guess great.
Yeah.
Not for me. I'm glad they're gone myself, but whatever.
Yeah, the quality, the convenience was great, but the quality just was absolutely never there. So tell us a little bit about how this album came together, sort of rooted in European and American death metal. You and Ryan wrote most of the songs, correct?
That's correct. We wrote all of them.
Yeah. And then he recruited Kendall and Lenny and got Sven on vocals.
Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
We pretty much started as when my last band kind of dissolved. It just wasn't looking like it was going to work out. And so I was talking to Ryan. I said, we should just do something that's fun and stupid and has jokes in it and has more of my sense of humor and your sense of humor, not trying to be so serious all the time. And we had a different vocalist, and when he saw the song titles and read some of the lyrics, he got pretty concerned. And I was like, dude, we're not going to do anything that Cannibal Corpse hasn't already done a million times, And I'm not sure if you've been paying attention, but it'd be pretty tough to offend people nowadays. I mean, you have to go pretty overboard. But he was really concerned with that, and then he started kind of dragging his feet. So I knew it wasn't going to work out with the previous vocalist. I was like, all right. And Sven and I had been friends since we went on tour together in 2018, I believe, when I was out on the road with Aborted and Cryptopsy. And we just got to be really good friends on that. So we hung out ever since and talked quite a bit. I think we talked just about every day. And I was telling him, like, yeah, I think I might be done with music. I just can't seem to get anything going. And he said, well, I'm a little pissed off. And I said, why? And he said, well, you didn't ask me. And I was like, oh, I just figured you had something better to do. He goes, I like your music, dude. I want to work with you. And I'm like, all right. And I think 2 weeks later, he had all his vocal demos recorded.
Wow.
And he was like, can I change some of the lyrics around? And I said, yeah, just to fit his style,
Sure.
And have, because he does a lot of lyrics. Whereas like the previous vocalists I'd worked with, they tend to drag lyrics out. So the lyric sheets aren't really long, but Sven just, vocal after vocal after vocal. So he did that, and next thing you know, we're like, oh shit, we have an album. And so I messaged my friend Chris, who'd done the last several albums. I've mixed those with me, and I said, hey dude, you want to mix this? And he said, yeah, absolutely. And next thing you know, we're shopping it to labels, and we had a few offers from them, but Listenable gave us the best offer, and we're like really into it. So that's what you want. You always want somebody to be kind of enthusiastic, especially when there's like a sea of bands out there. And you can kind of get that feeling from a certain label when they're like, oh, we'll put it out, but I don't know. Like you kind of tell. So whereas Listenable was like, we think this is great. We want to do this and this and this. And I'm like, dude, they have a plan. Let's do it. So that was that. That's how fast that came together. I think within 6 months, we went from, I think, fully recorded album to mix. The album's actually been done for like 15 months at this point, or 16 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
What has been the holdup in getting it out then?
It's really just timing. And obviously Sven has Aborted, and then also he's in Coffin Feeder now as well. And
okay.
So it's really timing, and labels have a schedule and that kind of stuff. So
sure. But I hear what you say about getting a label that actually wants to be behind you, because it's nowadays there's just the sheer number of bands and albums and music that's out there. is I only touch the tip of the iceberg and I get overwhelmed,
Yeah, that's a lot.
It's very, very cool. Let's talk a little bit about the name of the band then. I'm curious about this, Fetal Blood Eagle. Where did you come up with that?
So I was out walking my dog, and I don't know if they believe the story or not. I don't give a shit, but it's true. I was walking my dog and I thought, this is going to be dumb. And I said, my last band was called Solium Fatalis. I spelt that thing for like 8 years to people.
Right.
I was, dude, I am not spelling a fucking band name for another person. I will blow my brains out. And, I need something that rolls off the tongue. And then I thought to myself, I wonder if anybody's called Blood Eagle. I found out later there was a band called Blood Eagle. But I thought, well, that's just too generic. And I'm sitting there, and then it just hit me, boom, Fetal Blood Eagle. And I'm like, that's so stupid. I love it.
It does kind of roll. Kind of rolls off your tongue,
And as soon as I talked to the old vocalist and he was offended, I was like, sweet, we have a winner. You ever have one of those friends where you're like, I know if Stevie doesn't like it, the shit's going to be awesome.
There you go.
They're just contrarian.
Yes. Now, the album title, Indoctrinate, I looked up this word. It's kind of interesting. Of course, nowadays, it's more or less means like sort of brainwashed. But
Yeah.
back in the 17th century, it also meant to teach. And this Latin verb for doc, was pronounced a different way. I'm not even going to try to, but it, in a sense, meant to teach. Was that in mind, or were you going with the brainwash angle, or was you it's just a word you popped out?
You're way deeper into it than we are.
Okay.
So originally the album was called Vomit Erotic Asphyxiation.
Okay.
But we didn't want to use it because I got vetoed on a few titles. Some of them were way more offensive. Yeah. And so Sven said, dude, they're going to think we're a deathcore band with that shit. And I'm like, all right. And I said, what about Indoctrinate? And it just hit me. And he said, that's a good one. And then he pitched it to the cover artist. And then they based it on the track Razor Wire Communion, where it was this sort of like almost religious sort of indoctrination. So it really is more of a current events indoctrinate. I don't think we're trying to teach anybody.
Okay. I mean, I just found it interesting. It was a sort of, I like to go deep, as you know, on my research, and it was just sort of fascinating when I came up with that. So,
I learned that. You taught me. I didn't know that.
Okay. Now how about the cover art then? How did the cover art come together? That's fantastic.
So Sven actually had the artist in mind. I guess he had done some stuff for Aborted, and it's a Russian artist. I'm forgetting his name off the top of my head, but Sven handles all like the creative visuals and the art and does a lot of the merch. I'll pitch a different merch ideas and stuff to him, but he has a ton of experience with it. So it's really his specialty is doing that stuff. So he found this artist. Originally, it had way more churchy shit going on to it, and I just thought that was a little, I don't know. The guy's Eastern European. I think over in Eastern Europe, the Jesus thing like really offends people still. Yeah. Over here, nobody gives a shit anymore because Slayer did it in the 80s, so nobody cares. And, I was like, dude, Motley Crue's flashing pentagrams. Come on. Like, So the only suggestion I had was we take the bishop hat off the guy and I said, can we give him a Mordor crown? That was about my contribution to the cover. I said, it needs to be far more otherworldly and less Jesus,
Very cool.
Yeah.
As I mentioned at the top, I got to listen to an advanced copy. I made a couple of notes here on a few other songs.
Sure.
I want to ask you about, maybe you can help me with some of the pronunciations. Opening track, Necroformic. Do I have that correct?
Necromorphic Illumination.
Necromorphic Illumination. The video for that was very, very interesting. To me, being an old school guy like I am, I got a lot of like the original movie Alien sort of out of it a little bit.
So Ryan penned that track, and I did a couple of riffs in that one. And that song is about a game called Dead Space that was on like PlayStation and stuff like that. I never played it myself. Everyone else in the band has except me. I'm like the one guy that never played it.
Yeah.
So it's about necromorphs and this like sort of transcendence into self-mutilation. It's crazy shit. And it's a big time horror franchise video game thing that's all based on. So that's what, And the game, the art and all the stuff that's in that video is legally licensed from the Dead Space people. So that came from them.
Okay, well, that's where you guys are head and shoulders above me, because I'm not much of a gamer. I'm more, like I said, I'm more old school, but
Yeah,
very cool. Track 2, Hate Fuck Face. Pummeling is the word I have here. Tell us a little bit. I'm intrigued.
So that was one of the offensive ones that was like getting, is this going on Pornhub? They asked me. I said, what's Pornhub?
Yeah. Good answer.
Well, so it's a funny story. Sven actually helped me kind of customize the lyrics on that one as well. And I guess he did all of the lyrics, along with me and Ryan, but like he kind of adjusted it a little bit. But originally, I heard it when I was working one day, and I worked with this guy. His nickname was Fetal, and yes, he looked like the mouse. And this guy was talking shit to him, and he said, I'm gonna gouge out your eye and hate fuck your face. And that went into my Rolodex. That was like 20 years ago. And that went into my Rolodex of I'm gonna call something that someday.
That is very cool. I like that.
Like, sweet.
Razor Wire Communion. I liked the different tempo changes, the different movements in this song. It wasn't just straight, pummel me, hate fuck my face the entire track. I really liked this one. Can you tell me a little bit about that one?
Yeah, so Razor Wire came together as a song that I was just, differentiating ourselves from Sven's other stuff, because the minute people hear Sven, they're going to go, oh, Borden, and I think to anybody that's going to take a deeper dive into the band is going to realize that we're not really anything like that. Right. And I appreciate the comparisons and stuff like that, but I have worked for years and years to have my own style on music, and that's one of them, is to be able to do like sort of these tempo shifts, throw in some melodies, and that song is a little bit more of a challenge to the listeners than I think some of the other tracks on the album.
Yeah, great.
Yeah, it's a little bit more colorful.
Very cool song. Now you talk about melodies and different things on. Let me make sure I'm looking at this. Caverns of Deformulated Flesh. The ending riff, sort of the end of the song, I felt like I was going in circles. I listened to it through headphones, and I'm bobbing my head around. Like I'm going in circles. Yeah. Great effect. Great effect there. Track 5, Only Meth Is Real. Cool song. Tell me a little bit about that outro.
Oh yeah, so I don't know if you know who Fed Smoker is. It's a man named Connell Peterson. God rest his soul. No. He was. I love the Your Mom's House podcast with Tom Segura and Christina P. And my brother actually introduced me to this guy, and he's on YouTube. If you type in Fed Smoker, all one word.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of videos of this crazy guy, and a few of them are of him actually smoking meth. And I would have never, found this if other people weren't showing me the stuff. Right. But that's real audio of him confronting just this security guard at work, and he starts randomly cussing him out. It's so insane and absurd that I was like, well, that's going on the album.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Cool. Devoid of corrosive form. Word I got here, the one word I wrote down was sludgy. A little sludgier, a little and I liked that. I liked that a lot. That was very, very cool. And then dropping down to track 9, Decompression Disembowelment. Here are my notes. Opening riff hit me like a ton of bricks. Buzzsaw in the middle, nightmare at the end and the conclusion. My favorite track.
Oh wow, thanks.
Tell me a little bit about that. The way that opening riff comes, and the middle, like I said, the middle is just a buzzsaw, and then it delves into like towards the end. It's like, this is kind of going into nightmare material here. These sounds and everything I'm hearing.
Oh yeah, so that was a song that I got the title idea for. I'm a huge death metal fan from back when I think the genre. I actually started in thrash. I'm dating myself now, but like when I first started listening to death metal, it was like a lot of horror themes, and I love science fiction and stuff like that. And I was specifically, when I titled that song, for some reason thinking of that Sean Connery movie Outland. I don't know if you've ever seen it.
Yeah.
there's a scene where a guy gets into an elevator without a decompression or without a pressure suit on, and he decompresses into the I guess Io's natural environment, and then he blows up and his guts and shit are everywhere. So that's just where I came up with that song title. I thought that was cool.
Yeah.
And then the audio at the end is actually lifted from The Running Man with Arnold.
Okay.
And it's when Buzzsaw and Arnold Man get into a fight with the chainsaw, and I clipped it up so it sounded much more horrifying rather than comedic. Because if you watch the movie, it's almost comical.
Right.
But if you listen to it with our music to it, with the audio kind of with the funny parts taken out of it, it's actually a lot darker. So
yeah, it was scary stuff. Then of course the last track, Cinderblock Suicide, probably my second favorite track. I like the slower stuff, the slower, sludgier, down-tuned stuff, and killer guitar solos in Cinderblock Suicide. I like that a lot. Great ending. So like I said, 10 tracks, fantastic album, top to bottom. Let me do a little This Is Your Life with you and make sure everything that I've read on the internet is true. I mean, it's got to be, if it's on the internet.
I'm gonna make up shit.
Okay. You grew up in Iowa.
I did.
Started playing guitar around the age of 10 and first sort of played it across your lap, a la lap steel / Jeff Healey style.
That shit's on the internet?
It's on the internet. And a guy, a buddy of yours, Doug, is it Gehring?
Yeah, Doug Gehring. Yeah.
Sort of got you started. He was a big 80s rocker.
Yeah, he and I are still friends to this day.
Very cool.
And I met him back in 89.
Wow.
Yeah.
Was anybody else in your family musical at all?
No, they were absolutely void of the shit. Oh. Well, no, check that. My mom would sing all the time, but it was comedically bad.
Very cool. Then, of course, you joined the Air Force in '98. Thank you very much for your service. My dad was Air Force as well, so that's cool.
Oh, right on. Cool.
And then Solium Fatalis, you started that in 2012, really got it going near the end of your service career, around 2018 or so?
Yeah. Right when it started moving, it died.
Very cool. And then like Doug got you into the 80s rock, but then around the 90s when you started watching Headbangers Ball, that's when you started seeing the death metal stuff, particularly from Florida. And one band you cited was Morbid Angel, which I thought was cool. I saw them on the Extreme Steel tour. It was Morbid Angel, Scrape, Static X, Slayer, and Pantera.
That is a crazy lineup.
Yeah.
That just screams 2002. Am I right?
Yeah. I believe it was right around in there. Yeah. And that was, I mean, that was just an insane show. And I got to admit, by the time Pantera came out after, I mean, Morbid Angel was great. Static X was, Scrape was decent. Static X blew me away, actually. That was June 20th of 01. I saw that tour.
Yeah, that would have been like their heyday.
Yeah. Static X, I was pleasantly, I mean, I knew they were good, but they really blew me away. And then of course Slayer was like, and I got to admit, by the time Pantera came out, I didn't have a whole lot left, but they were awesome.
Dude, I saw Pantera with Morbid Angel and Soulfly, and I think now I gotta remember the other, but Nothing Face.
Wow.
Yeah, and so Nothing Face played first or second, and then Morbid Angel came out, and they were awesome. But Soulfly and Pantera, I don't know, it is a different time. They like ripped the roof off that place. It was crazy.
Max, man, wow, awesome stuff. I understand though, even though you played for a while, it took you like almost 20 years to feel really comfortable and confident on stage.
Yeah, like I was like super late at blooming on guitar and like feeling like I was, confident and competent enough to do this.
Yeah.
And my biggest problem personally was comparing myself to guitar players like Gary Holt. And I thought I needed to be like equal or better than all these guys. And then I realized this is gonna make you laugh a little bit, but I went to this guitar clinic with George Lynch when I was like 30.
Wow.
And I saw George Lynch and he said, the most important thing you can do is have your own voice. So right then and there, I was like, oh, that's what I should have been doing. Instead of trying to be like this shred guy or something, I just need to be me.
Yeah.
So all the tools were there for me to do everything. I just hadn't quite had the psychology down, I guess, that if that makes sense. And
Mhm.
so once I got it down, I was like, I know how to have my own voice. And that has been like the George Lynch. I've never thought in a million years that the guy from Dawkins would have given me the best musical advice of my life.
Sure.
Yeah, and that was great because it taught me that I just need to be me. And so when I did Solium, it was a lot of me, but it was also like this sort of me being cerebral type stuff
Sure.
and trying to be, I don't know, poetic and dark and all these things. But so it wasn't really 100% me, whereas this band is 100% my personality. And I'm pretty much making jokes 99% of the time at people, and often inappropriate. So I felt like that this is the sort of final evolution of my personality within music. It's, very true to who I am. It's true to who Sven is. And whether Ryan wants to fucking admit it or not, it's totally true to him. He's a goof.
So it sounds like you're, obviously, you're taking your music seriously, you're crafting music, but you're having a lot of fun.
You have to. I saw so many shows where bands get up on stage, and death metal is super guilty of this, and it's like watching some kind of sermon.
Mhm.
Or I don't know how to explain it. I just thought people are holding cell phones, they're not moving, they're standing like, I just think it's not that engaging.
Mhm.
And I just thought, man, I don't want to do that shit. I don't want to have people show up at a show and stand there and, it just seems boring.
Yeah.
I thought we got to do something that's like way more entertaining than that. Forget all this bullshit.
Absolutely. Where was the moment, let's take you back to when you first started playing guitar when you were around 10. Where was the moment that led you to want to pick up the guitar? Who did you see? What did you hear that made you want to pursue it?
Well, obviously Doug Gehring was a huge participant in that. And it's funny because it just came to like basically he and I were hanging out, and he had, Wasp posters on the wall and Crew and all these bands. And he said, you should play guitar. And I went, all right. And that's about as simple as it gets. And I remember my mom didn't really like, she said, you're not going to want to stay playing guitar. You're going to quit. And I was like, I'm not going to quit. I'm a rocker. And so I got this like cheap guitar that worked good enough, and I stuck with it. And I wanted to be somebody in a band, but I never thought it was going to happen. Because when you grow up in the middle of nowhere in Iowa, it's not like,
Right.
it's not like growing up in New England where you can go somewhere.
Sure.
And
Now,
people are like, maybe play for the church if you want, but yeah, sure.
I was just going to ask, despite her misgivings at the start, are they supported? Did they end up supporting you?
Yeah. They're cool about it. Like my family is, I think they're, I think they're pretty amused with the current band. So
very cool. You guys have a website, fetalbloodeagle.com, which has a lot of very cool stuff on that as well. Now, once the album comes out, are you guys going to be selling it through the website or just through the regular?
Well, Listable Records obviously has it up on theirs, and then we have Indie Merch has limited edition copies on vinyl and cassette, and CDs as well. It'll be available digitally on all platforms, Spotify, Apple Music, you name it, it'll be everywhere. Yeah, so.
Have you been able to put together any type of touring plans at all?
There's been some discussions. I don't want to like crack that egg open just yet because of just the current state of events with everything.
Yeah.
But we have booking agents and all that good stuff, and we're definitely going to tour. It's a matter of time and opportunity. But yeah, it'll be a full-fledged touring band and doing all the cool stuff everybody likes.
Any more videos in the works for any of the tracks?
Yeah, we actually have another single coming out just before the album drops for Razorwire Communion. So that's our next single, and that'll be an animated video as well.
Excellent.
And then we've discussed doing an actual music video. I'm not sure when and if we're going to do that. We have a couple other surprises coming. So
cool. Excellent. Talking with Jim Gregory of Fetal Blood Eagle, their album Indoctrinate coming out February 25th on Listenable Records. Now we got to get down to the important stuff, Jim.
Okay.
I understand you are a craft beer enthusiast.
It's funny because I haven't had a single beer in like 3 months.
Really?
Take a break. But yeah, I really like beer.
I live about 5 minutes away from the Hill Farmstead Brewery up here. Is that a brew that's ever come across your palate?
It probably has. I'd have to look at my what's this app that I have for it? Crap, I can't remember anything. I have to look at my Untapped to tell you if I got it.
He's been voted like best beer in the world a number of times and all this stuff. So
is there a particular one? Is he the one that did the original IPA?
He names all his beers after members of his family.
Okay.
You know, and you know, my mind has gone completely blank now that I'm trying to think of a name of one of these friggin' beers. And he's had a bunch of them. But it's Hill Farmstead. If you haven't tried it, you should you check it out. What are you into down there for beers?
Man, just about anything that's like a triple IPA or like a double IPA, anything really hazy. For me personally, like 6'3" and 270 pounds. So I like to have stuff that's in the 8 to 12% range.
Sure.
Because I don't like having 20 of them.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Now, do they get any of the heady topper down there? That's brewed over in Waterbury.
Yeah, it's funny. I got asked by every Canadian friend that I have. I think I've been asked about heady topper more than any beer in my life. When I went up to Quebec, all my buddies, our engineer, you know, my friend Chris Donaldson, the guys in Cryptopsy, everybody. They're like, have you had heady topper? One of the first questions they have, and I've never had this fucking beer. So there's another one that's out there that's like that, that's like sort of gotten that legendary status with people outside of New England.
Yeah.
So I definitely have to get my hands on it at some point.
It's huge. And I'll tell you, it's funny. I work in a grocery store and we sell it in there. And through the summer, when we get a lot of the summer tourists in, I can't keep the stuff on the shelf. Then after Labor Day, when it's just sort of more of the locals, it sort of slowed down a little bit. And I said to the salesman, does anybody from Vermont drink this beer?
It's legendary with people. The heady toppers, that's the one I was trying to think of. That's like the OG craft brew of this region, apparently. That's what I've been told. I could be wrong, but
it is excellent. I've had it. It is very, very good. If you like an IPA, I would recommend it. And judging by the way it flies off my shelves in the summer, people seem to like it. So
yeah, I got to tell you, some of my favorites, actually, I can't believe I'm going to say this because the people in this state are so interesting and delightfully eccentric. But Ohio has a beer company called Hoofhearted that their beer is awesome.
Huh.
And they have one called Everybody Wants Some that's easily one of my favorite beers. And I think it's a triple. But yeah, they have really unique flavors coming out of that. That particular brewery kicks ass. And then as far as New England ones, I love Definitive, Stoneface. The sours up at Hermit Thrush up in your region, I think lights out some of the. I don't think that they're like super well known, maybe, but theirs are to me just awesome.
Yeah, they're not as huge as say like this, the Heady Topper or the Hill, but yeah, definitely they are in the running. So very, very cool stuff. Excellent. Let's see, Jim, I usually like to end up my interviews with just some silly questions. I'm hoping these are questions you've never been asked before. Sound good?
That would be amazing. I've done so many canned interviews where they're like, tell us about yourself, that I feel like I'm fucking applying for a dating app.
Well, this is where we really get to know you. So
all right, let's do it.
Favorite toy growing up as a child?
Oh man, Transformers easily.
All right.
Yeah.
If you could pick a television show to have a Fetal Blood Eagle song placed in, what TV show would you pick?
Peacemaker by a mile.
Okay.
So much ass.
First car you bought with your own money?
A 1985 Monte Carlo Super Sport. I got it for $700.
Nice. All right. And I'll bet you beat the crap out of it, didn't you?
Yeah, dude, that thing was fast. Scared the piss out of my
mom. Favorite old school wrestler?
See, I loved wrestling, so now I gotta really think about it.
Okay.
Oh man. See, now we're on the spot. This is like the beer question because I don't watch it anymore because I don't find it as interesting.
Well, this is why it's old school. So think back to when you were a kid,
maybe Sid Vicious. He was
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah,
Anybody huge and scary.
definitely. Definitely.
That's
I went to Springfield, Mass one time, and it had one of those NWA Great American Bash shows, and
oh,
he and it was Sid Vicious and Ron Simmons got out of the same car, and I never saw two huge, larger individuals in my life.
see, now we're getting into names because like my favorite old school wrestler now that I think about it is probably Harley Race. Legit tough.
Yes.
Yeah, amazing
Yes.
promos. Forget Sid. Yeah, strike that from the record.
Yeah.
Yeah, Ron Simmons was awesome. Legit scary dude. And that I think that's missing from wrestlers now. Now I'm pretty much way scarier than you guys.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm like, I bet you guys are great at fitness challenge, but I'm not worried about getting beat up.
I say that as well. The athleticism that these guys have nowadays, like, you know, like a Seth Rollins or something like that, is just off the charts, but you don't have that old school Harley Race, you know, I'm going to punch you in the mouth and I'm going to break your jaw. And you know, he's going to do it, you know?
Like there's definitely, I like those guys. Like I think Lesnar's probably one of the last of those guys, maybe like Undertaker, guys like that, like where you're like, okay, this guy, I don't know, but I wouldn't mess with this dude. And as it turns out, Chris Jericho is also one of the last of the legit tough guys. Anybody who takes down Bill Goldberg is right. I mean, he's probably pretty tough.
And I'll throw Randy Orton into that mix.
I'm going to say probably. I mean, I wouldn't mess with any of them personally. I don't want to find out. But yeah, some of them I'm like, I bet he could do a lot more push-ups than me, but I don't know about beating me
up. Okay. If you could go back in time and eat one of your mom's home-cooked meals from your childhood, what would you have her prepare?
Chicken casserole, my favorite.
All right. If you could be born in another era, what era would you pick?
I would have come up in the 80s. I want to be 20 in 1980 and a guitar player in LA. Yeah. I would sell out quicker than shit. I would dress up with like a woman with my hair all teased up and shit, makeup. I might actually do that now just for fun anyway.
There you go.
Yeah, I would so sell out quicker than fuck to be in one of these bands playing in arenas. And I had a friend ask me the other day, he said, "You're telling me you wouldn't be a one-hit wonder?" I'm like, I will suck somebody's dick. I will sell out quicker than shit to play in front of 15,000 people a night. Especially knowing now, like I've done gigs now where we showed up for a gig for Soleil Fatalis, and there was two people there, and they both worked there. So
that's straight out of the anvil.
Yeah, it was totally anvil moment. I was like, "Good night, Virginia." What a great gig.
What is a day off from music like for you, where you're not going to write, you're not going to record, you're not going to do anything musical? What do you do?
I spend a lot of time with my wife and my dog, and I play. I play some PlayStation 4 games. It's actually Sven's fault that I play that. I never was a gamer, and he was like, "You should play Call of Duty," and I'm like, "Oh boy!" And let me tell you something. Call of Duty's like having a repeated root canal with no Novocaine, so it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Favorite superhero?
Oh man, see, now I'm into comic books, so I'm gonna say Judge Dredd.
Okay, well, let's go the opposite direction. Favorite villain?
Mm-hmm. See, we can deep dive this. How far do you want me to get into it?
Yeah, however far you want to go.
I think Supreme is probably one of the most copied and evilest villains I've ever read in a book.
Okay.
And it's Irredeemable. It's not Supreme. Supreme's an Image book.
Yeah.
I have a book called Irredeemable where they basically made evil Superman. And it's been copied in movies and TV shows. The Boys has already copied it. Brightburn copied it. But the original book that I know of is Irredeemable by Mark Waid. I think that's the baddest of the bad.
Cool.
Anybody that's like a white supremacist or stuff, like that's the evilest of the evil. Like there's no redeemable quality in a person. Like that's a bad guy, you know, where you're like, oh, I can see why Thanos would kill half the universe. You're like, I get it. I'm like, that's a redeemable character. I like irredeemable bad guys where I'm like, kill that son of a
bitch. Last one, and this is the one we have the most fun with. If they were to make a biopic of your life, what actor would you pick to portray you in the movie? And it's your movie, your life. You can pick anybody.
Anybody to pick me?
Yeah.
Or to play me, rather?
To play you, yeah.
Oh, God. Well, you'd have to have a big fucking head. I'll go with Russell Crowe because he's an asshole. And
he does have a big head.
Yeah, he's got a huge fucking head, not really that good looking, kind of a dick. That's about me.
Okay.
I don't think it'd be too much of a stretch for him. He'd be like, he's a dick. All right, I got this.
All right. Oh, a lot of fun chatting here with Jim Gregory. Once again, the band is called Fetal Blood Eagle.
Yeah, fire shit.
Out February 25th on Listenable. Jim, was there anything that we did not chat about, something that you had hoped I would ask you, anything you didn't get to mention in this interview? The floor is yours.
Yes, I just want to say that Sven DeCalliway beats me on a regular basis, and he actually held my cat for ransom and said he'd kill it if I didn't write a second album. He's a horrible person. Call the police.
All right, so we look forward to album number 2 coming out real soon.
Yeah, it's going to be awesome.
Excellent. Jim, thank you very, very much for your time. This has been a hoot. I have enjoyed every minute, and I hope you have as well. And good luck moving forward with Fetal Blood Eagle.
All right, buddy. Thanks.
Take care.
I see it.
Bye-bye.